Life in Portugal after 1 year, what can you say? Hey, don't mind me. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So if you're seeing this fine face, this fine girl, this fine woman for the first time, welcome. So my name is Ugo Anamudu. I'm a Nigerian based in Portugal. In this video, with the title, you already know it is actually serious business. There's no point sugarcoating. There's no point sweet talking you. Oh, you know me that war in Yoruba. Don't mind me, I'm just kidding. Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to be as real as possible. I'm just going to be very honest in my own opinion. I don't know what any other person thinks, but with what I've seen, what I've experienced, I'm just going to be sharing my own experience basically with the language, jobs, healthcare, and everything today. So you are in for a ride. So let's start with the language, right? Say I was open to learning the language. I know it's going to take a while, but I was really open to learning and all of that. So when I got into Portugal, I think the first week, it was the only thing I just do is just to smile. When they speak the language, I think the only thing I learned was bon dia, boa tarde, boa noite. That was the greeting, which is good morning, good afternoon, good night, good evening. Those are basically the only thing I could say. Like hola is hello. Those like the only basic. In short, till now, let's not even start. So those were like the only things I could say even before moving to Portugal, right? So sometimes it can be frustrating when you're trying to communicate to someone who you don't understand the language, you don't even speak the language, the other person do not speak English, they do not want to use a Google translator to actually, they tell you you just have to learn the language. So in that aspect, you can actually be frustrated, especially when you want to get something done, when you're going to the hospital and you don't speak English in the hospital. I think I went for one. I wanted to register for my healthcare number, and the lady told me, she said it in Portuguese, that she cannot speak English. I should go and get someone who speaks English. She was not even ready to even use a Google translator, like to even assist me in like, okay, this girl is new to the country, let's see what they can do. She insisted, like, I cannot speak the language. Go and get someone that can speak English and all of that. She said all of this in Portuguese, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine, and all of that. So I actually registered for a Portuguese school, A1 and A2. It was for about 8 months. You really do not have to do the 8 months. They're like short courses or short classes, maybe 3 months, and then you get your certificate and all of that. So when I would say first, the language, it was quite difficult. It's still difficult, but at least to an extent, I would say I understand the language a bit. I'm not fluent, but at least I went to the school. I understand the basics. So if you're thinking of moving to Portugal, please start learning the language so you can actually be able to communicate with people. Learn the language. It is important. If you're moving from a country where your language is basically English, or your primary language is English, to a country where they don't speak English, right? Please learn the language. I would encourage everyone moving to Portugal, please do learn the language. It is important. You would get frustrated at some point, especially like I said earlier, you're going to the hospital, you need to do junta, you need to do something in offices where they don't speak English. You have to. Yes, you can actually survive with just English language, but because you're in their country, you have to learn the language. Now, that being said, so language is out of the way. Now, let's move to the healthcare. At the moment, they don't have enough doctors, they don't have enough nurses in Portugal, because most of their doctors and nurses are actually moving to a country where they pay a better minimum wage. So right now, hospitals are getting an appointment. Let's even start with getting an appointment in the hospital. I remember when I wanted to book my first appointment, I think we got there around 6 a.m. We couldn't get an appointment for that day. We got there. Can imagine leaving your house to get to the hospital. That's like the healthcare center, for 6 a.m. And they open at 8, right? And they tell you, oh, we can actually we are only giving out 20 tickets per day. And the people who got the number 1 to 20 have been there since like 4, 5, because they need to get an appointment just to see a doctor, which is quite tough. So if you can actually afford like getting a private health insurance or a health doctor, that is fine. So our first appointment, we went there as early as 6. We couldn't get an appointment for that day. We were told, oh, no appointment. When we even saw the queue, we were even thinking we wanted to just get there on time, do what we wanted to do, get the appointment, and just go about our day like that. When we got there around 6 and we saw the queue, we were wondering what's going on. Our neighbor told us, just get there on time, because we have some Nigerian friends around, some families around. We're like, just get there on time, because sometimes you might probably not get. We thought we were joking until we got there around 6. And we saw the crowd of people waiting. We were like, wait, what's going on? Like, I don't understand. This is like a normal thing. Because for me, or for us, it was quite strange. We got there, we couldn't get an appointment for that day. We had to, like, I just told my husband, we might have to reschedule, right? We rescheduled to another day. We got there very early, even before 6. Luckily for us, we were able to get an appointment. We got an appointment. We were able to see the doctor for that day. So I was told to do a different test regarding something. I was told to do a different test. I did the first one. The second one, I got a call to say the doctor wasn't feeling too good, so they might have to reschedule, which was fine by me. I said, okay. So all I know was, what was on my mind was waiting for another appointment or for me to be rescheduled, since I couldn't see the doctor because she was ill and she couldn't come to work, which was fine, right? So I waited for like about a month, no response. So I'm like, okay, let me join. Was it up to a month? I'm not sure it was up to a month. I'm like, okay, let me stop by the health care. Let me see what's going on to know when is my next appointment. I got there. I didn't have to go too early, since it was just, if you're going to ask like a normal question, you can go anytime during the day. But if you want to book an appointment, if you want to see a doctor, you have to book an appointment. So you have to really go very early. I don't know about other areas, but for where we stay, you have to get there really early in the morning, right? So we got there. Sorry, I got to the hospital to find out what's going on. I booked an appointment earlier, and I was told it was cancelled. It was cancelled because the doctor wasn't feeling too good and all of that. They checked and they said, oh, you know what? There's no appointment again for this year. It's till next year. I had to tell the guy, excuse me. Luckily for me, the guy speaks a bit of English. So it was not that bad communicating with him. I said, sorry, excuse me. Do you mean like till next year for an appointment that I booked? Okay, I booked the first one. The second one was, she told me to come back for the same test. So she just gave me, instead of me coming very early in the morning to book an appointment, she just gave me another date. And we're like, oh yeah, that I would advise you can actually go to a private health insurance, or use your private health insurance, or go to a private clinic and all of that, because she's the only female doctor around, and all the dates are booked for the year until next year. I was so angry, so I had to just call my health insurance, my company health insurance. I'm just going to use my health insurance card and all of that. So luckily we got, the thing is, when it comes to healthcare, Portuguese healthcare is actually very good, not too expensive. I'm sure we did lots of tests. I'm not sure we paid £1 for any of it. I think it was just one I paid. We did all the blood tests, which was totally free. So once you have like your SNS number, that's your healthcare number, you can actually run most tests for free, as long as you have like a notification or a letter from your doctor to say do all of these tests. They'll tell you where to go to. It's actually, you pay nothing for it compared to where you're coming from, how much you would pay to do all those tests. So for healthcare, prepare your mind. If you want to book an appointment, you have to go there very early, depending on the area that you stay. So find out the area you stay in, how is their healthcare system or method are wherever you're moving to. Next, job. If you're coming to Portugal, you're thinking of moving to Portugal, come with enough money that would actually sustain you for a long time. When I mean for a long time, you can be thinking about 7 months, 8 months. Yes, you heard me right. 7 months, 8 months. Getting a job in Portugal is quite tough. Let me share my experience with you. I think I wanted to share, but like, no, when I heal, I'll actually share this. So right now, I think I'm actually in a better place to actually share all of this. So my first job, I got into Portugal last year. So it's been more than a year now, so I'm actually in a better place. So I got into Portugal last year. Yeah, last year. I think it was July or thereabouts. I got my resident card. I applied for, even before I got my resident card, I started applying for jobs. I was even getting offers to say, okay, not like offers, but like positive feedback from the people I actually applied to. They were like, once you get your resident card, give us a call and all of that. So I got my resident card. I started applying on LinkedIn and all of that. So I got calls from some people, did the interview, passed, got the job. I would not mention the name of the company. I got a job. It was like an unspecified contract. After a few months, I think we said it was 3 months, they started ramp down, like laying off people bit by bit, week after week. They were laying off people until they laid off almost everybody on the team, like everybody. When I mean, like, I think I heard much later, over 400 people were laid off because the project needed to be moved to a different country, right, where they pay cheaper, like lesser minimum wage. So they laid off everybody. I think I only got like 2 months or 3 months salary. I was broken. It was like first job. It's not like we were not doing the job. We were not getting positive results. We were getting positive results. I personally got like surveys. I got like productivity bonus and all of that. And We were all laid off. It was crazy. So at the moment, there are no jobs in Portugal. That's the truth. Let nobody sugarcoat you. So I'll advise you, if you're coming to Portugal, please come with enough money that would sustain you for a very long time, because you might not get a job in 1 month. You might not get a job in 2 months. You might not get a job in 3 months. You might not get a job in 4 months. You might not get a job in 5 months. Don't allow anybody to deceive you. And that's the truth. I'm not saying this because I want to actually discourage you. Portugal is a peaceful country. It's a place you want to live. But please prepare your mind that if you're moving, it's not like you'll get a job immediately. So I'll advise, if you're coming to Portugal, try as much as you can to learn like maybe an high-end job in terms of a tech skill. I think so far, I think they have like lots of tech jobs, but in terms of getting the normal job, just normal job aside from tech, is quite tough. Even getting restaurant job is not as easy as it used to come by, as I was told. Right now it is quite tough. Please, I'm not saying this, disclaimer, I'm not saying this to discourage anybody. I'm just saying this to actually prepare your mind in case you're coming. You don't say, oh, I'm coming now, I will land a job. Yes, there's God's favor, there's God's mercy, there's God's unlimited grace. You can get a job immediately you land. On the other hand, you might not get a job immediately you land. Does not mean God does not love you, right? So just prepare ahead. Come with enough cash, come with enough money to be able to feed and fend for yourself prior to the time you actually get a job, right? So getting a job is not quite easy in Portugal. You can stay months. So after the whole ramp down, I lost the job. I got a call from the same company to say, oh, you'll be transferred to a different project once we have enough projects. We'll send us a CV again. Let's see what we can do and all of that. I didn't hear from them. The next thing, all of us, we all got like termination letter. That period in the office, everybody it was more like a crying. People just crying and crying because, you know, in Europe or abroad, everywhere, unlike where we're coming from in Nigeria, you pay your rent yearly, but Europe, you pay monthly, right? So you need to get a job. You need to have a job to be able to afford your rent, to be able to feed and pay your bills, right? So I was out of job for about 3 months, if not more than 3 months. What are we talking about? Yeah, I think about 3 months or 4 months thereabout, until I got a job. I got another job. So right now I'm actually in a better place. That is why I'm actually talking about this and all of that. So accommodation is not so cheap anymore. I learned it used to be cheap, right? It's not so cheap right now. To get like a T2, for those of you in Nigeria, it's a 2-bedroom apartment. A T1, it's a mini flat. A room is a shared apartment. A T3 is a 3-bedroom apartment. Now you can actually go on Facebook Market. You can actually, but just be careful. They have lots of scam on Facebook Market. So don't pay anybody to say you have to pay for viewing. Please avoid that. Do not pay for any viewing. Once they get your cash, they'll just block you. You won't even hear from them. Please, you can actually check on maybe Idealista to have an idea of what accommodation fee is in Portugal. Now for T1, you can get like 600. To even get 600 is quite tough. Right now it's from 700, 750. It's not even so easy getting for 700, right? So you can actually get you can get T2 for, you can see 750, 800. These fees are actually without bills. So include your water bill, your electricity bill, your gas bill, your internet bill and all of that. So you know how much you should be paying every year. Now this you have to compare with what you earn. Now the minimum wage in Portugal is actually 760. That's the minimum wage in Portugal. So if you're thinking of you want to come and get like a T1, calculated, how much are you earning per month? Can you actually sustain yourself with the minimum wage and also the rent and all of that? You need to actually, you know what's in your pocket. You need to actually weigh yourself to know that. Now, most companies actually give you like feeding allowance, maybe ranging from, it depends on the company you work with. It can be from say 100 euros per month. Some pay lesser, some pay 160. So it basically depends on the company you're working with. But most companies actually give you meal allowances aside from your salary. So you can actually get productivity bonus. It depends, right? It depends on the company. So go on LinkedIn to see the kind of jobs you know you're qualified for and just start applying, right? So now in terms of getting a job in Portugal, I have to ask, you know, when you get to a point where I don't want to say I was frustrated. I had to ask my friends who are Portuguese to say, how do you guys get your jobs? And they were all saying LinkedIn. I'm like, everybody cannot be searching on LinkedIn for jobs. It is a lot because everybody is searching on LinkedIn. People from other countries are searching on LinkedIn. We in Portugal are searching on LinkedIn. Everybody searches on LinkedIn for a job. So it's just try as much as you can. The skill that is high-end, that you can actually earn more money. I would say learn a tech skill before you come. Just start learning. But really, in all, I would say Portugal is actually a very beautiful country. All of this is not just to discourage you, it's actually to actually help you prepare your mind. If you're moving to Portugal, think of all these things, factor all these things in. Yes, pray for God's mercy, pray for God's favor. At the other end, you also need to prepare yourself. It's like saying you're moving to a no man's land and you're coming empty handed without cash in your pocket or your account. It's not that you will suffer, you will suffer, right? So please, while you want God to do his, also play your part by coming with enough cash, preparing your mind, read about the places you want to move to, read about accommodation, read about how to get a job in Portugal, study, make your own research. It's beyond what we say to you, to say, oh, Portugal is okay, Portugal is this, just move, just move, just move. No, make your own research to know that yes, this country is actually suitable for me. I have what it takes to actually survive here, and all of that. So please, thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you for sticking to the very end. So guys, please don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to leave a comment. Bye. Thank you. Kisses.